You're very welcome to the Woman to Woman show here on Confident Women Island with me, Roisin the Importance. Exercise and movement is so important for all of us, no matter what age we are, but more so for women transitioning through the perimenopause, the menopause, and post-menopause. To chat to us today about all this and explain in more detail, Tracy Byrnes O'Donovan, who is the founder of Tracey at the Studio. Tracey is a fitness and Pilates instructor and is based in Ballina in County Tipperary in the Midwest of Ireland. As a Pilates specialist and health and fitness instructor, Tracey is passionate about women's health and the importance of exercise and movement during menopause and beyond. Tracey loves keeping active and strives to help others and keep moving too. Tracey, you are very, very welcome to the Woman to Woman show here on Confident Women Island.
Thanks, Roisin. I'm delighted to be here. It's a pleasure.
I'm delighted to have you because I've been following you on Instagram, and every morning you put up posts. You're always out in nature and out walking, either by the beach, down in Timor and Waterford, or up in the mountains. And, you know, it really motivates me and gets me active and gets me to practice what I preach as well.
Oh, that's good. And that's what it's all about. That's, you know, my aim, and putting up posts like that to encourage other women, you know, to get out, get started, get moving, and just take in their own surroundings and their own locality.
And get out to nature as well.
Yeah, definitely. And just being aware of what's around them and in their own town, wherever they live, that there are those movement opportunities there.
Yes, but we're going to talk about the importance of exercise and movement, especially for, as I said in the intro, for perimenopause, menopause, and postmenopausal women a little later. But can you please tell us, for many of our audience who doesn't know what Pilates is, or maybe has never experienced a Pilates class, or doesn't know anything about it?
Yeah, well, Pilates was originally created by a Joseph Pilates, hence the name. And it was really an exercise system, I'll call it, to improve his own health and well-being. And it was initially called controlology because the exercises are performed in a really slow and controlled manner, using your body's strength and using your flexibility and using your breath. Initially, it was done by dancers because of the posture and the body alignment and the strength. And then it was brought into with physios for rehabilitation and also for athletes. So Pilates has evolved now, and it's coming more into mainstream exercise, you know, and it's more readily available for people. So it's a series of exercises that work on the entire body, focusing on your strength, your flexibility, your functional movement, your breathing, your posture, your body alignment, your core muscles, and also that mind-body connection. I originally got into Pilates due to an injury. I've always been a fitness instructor, but the Pilates element of it, I injured my back, and that's how I discovered Pilates and how it helped me. And then I went on to become an instructor, and Pilates is part of my daily routine and my lifestyle now, and it's just fantastic. For somebody who's never done Pilates, there's a whole range of classes out there, so really finding a beginner's class for you. Pilates is done on a mat, can be done in standing. There's also a reformer kind of table or bed, I'll call it, that Pilates movements are done on using pulleys and levers. But all the exercises would have originated on the ground, and now they've just evolved, and there's different slants on them, and they can be made easier and they can be made more difficult. So they suit every fitness level, whether you're a beginner or whether you're an elite athlete.
So Tracey, what are the benefits of Pilates, especially for women in the midlife or transitioning from the mid-30s into maybe the early 40s, perimenopause, menopause, and postmenopause?
Well, if you look at some of the symptoms that women experience through perimenopause and menopause, like if we look at disturbed sleep, exercise, movement, Pilates, can help improve sleep, because you're using energy within the body. You're also decreasing your stress levels because you're bringing that focus on yourself and you're getting that wind down. So in turn can improve sleep patterns. If we look at changes in mood as a symptom, fluctuating up and down, feeling emotional, feeling angry, the different mood experiences that some women can have. Pilates, exercise, movement, again, can help improve moods because you've got that feel-good factor and you're getting an increase in energy. You're getting that time for yourself as well, which we all need. And, you're feeling happy. I sometimes do Pilates outside. So you have the nature effect as well. If you think of brain health, our bone health, our heart health, Pilates is beneficial to all of this. So your brain health, you're focusing on different parts of the body. So you really have to focus. You're working on your balance. So, your brain is engaged to focus on your balance. I work with a reciprocal movement. So working the opposites, the left and the right, and going, diagonal movements. So all of that brain fitness is really important, and also brings in that additional concentration, which improves confidence as well. Bone health. So if we think of bone health, strength work is really, really important. So people always think of, really, really heavy weights. So they might think of a gym and just be totally intimidated by weight training. It doesn't have to be that way. That's body weight.
That's me.
So like your body weight is a resistance in itself. So in Pilates, like using the exercises on the floor or whether you're on a reformer, you're using your own body weight as a resistance. The different levels, like the beginner, the improver and advanced, you're going to have different modes then of strength load, the number of repetitions that you do, your pushing and your pulling actions, your directional change, all of this in strength work improves our bone health and thus improves our muscles. So the muscles become stronger, and then our joints are surrounded by muscles. So then you're bringing in more stabilization into your joints. And if you think of the hips and you think of the knees and also the spinal column, a lot of falls, the hips are affected and the knees are affected, and also a common one, especially in women, would be shoulder injury. So bringing in your strength work really helps improve, your muscular strength and your bone health. Yeah. And then we have heart health. And some people say, well, with Pilates, how can I improve my heart health? So by bringing in a little bit more dynamic movement into Pilates, so a little bit few more repetitions, maybe some moves might be a little bit quicker. So by bringing in that cardiovascular, you're taking in your oxygen, you're improving your heart health. Getting out for your walk, improving your heart health, nice brisk walk, bringing in, just so you're taking in more oxygen, all improves the cardiovascular endurance. And then you've got our flexibility and mobility. And flexibility we lose, everybody loses flexibility, as we move on in life. And it's really important to try and keep practicing it. So I always incorporate flexibility elements in the class. And also Pilates is all about strengthening and lengthening, different muscle groups of the body. And so it's really important to, to be able to maintain that and to practice that on a regular basis. And then weight management is another symptom of menopause, especially the midsection, So during Pilates, working on like abdominal exercises, oblique exercises, back, upper body, arms, glutes in the bum, thighs, overall working and bringing in a little bit of dynamic movement as well, helping to control, the body weight, so that weight management. And then in relation to diet then as well, it's all part of a package. Like exercise on its own will only do so much, but we have to look at all the other lifestyle things that, that might be preventing us from achieving our goals or preventing us from feeling better as we go through stages of menopause. So looking at your diet, are you getting your vitamin D? Are you getting your calcium? by exercising and getting outside as well, you're going to get that increase in vitamin D. You know, are you getting enough nutrients in? So it comes as a whole package. And I've only touched on a few symptoms, Roisin, like there's so many more, but Pilates and exercise really help with nearly all the symptoms, you know. And I know there's a lot of women that would, you know, suffer from joint pain, you know, in the hips, in the back, in the knees, but it's really just starting at a level that you can maintain, finding a class that suits you if there's one in your local area, or giving me a shout. But yeah, and just starting at a level that you can manage, and then you'll progress, you know, you'll increase, and your confidence levels will increase as well, and you'll, once you get it, start this kind of regular habit, bring it in and start it as a new habit into your lifestyle, you know, it'll just change you, and you'll incorporate it into your daily routine without even thinking about it.
Tracey, you were also telling me that Pilates is very good for the pelvic floor, especially for women.
Yes. So that the benefits of Pilates and the pelvic floor is because we're focusing on the power, I call it the powerhouse of the body. So you've got your pelvic floor muscles, you've got the lower abdominals, you've got the glutes, and you've got the back. But you get that increased blood flow to that area, to the pelvic area, and to the pelvic floor muscles. And that, you know, that in itself can increase or can improve the blood flow to help in relation to bladder control and bowel control. And also you're getting that mind-body connection to the pelvic floor muscles. I use the elevator analogy, so thinking that your pelvic floor muscles are ground level, and to engage them and exercise them is moving up through the floors of an elevator. So you're getting that lift sensation, so that you're picking up pelvic floor muscles, and just training the mind then so that you strengthen the pelvic floor muscles. And a lot of the exercises, you would connect through pelvic floor muscles first, so pelvic floor and the abdominals, you know, before you go into the main movement. Yeah, and I always bring it into an area on its own in my classes, so that everyone becomes aware of the pelvic floor muscles, and also being able to collect them correctly. You know, it used to be that you try to hold a wee for as long as you can, whereas, you know, that type of practice is gone now, you know. So it's getting that lift sensation. I sometimes use the term, even trying to stop yourself from passing. So you're getting the movement from the back towards the front, so that it gets the brain thinking, and then connect to the part of the body that you want to focus on. Yeah, so it's really beneficial.
Yeah, especially holding on to your pee, because you know you could do that for a long time, perimenopause and menopause. But once you reach the menopause, you just need the toilet. You can't hold it on anymore.
Yeah, and you're not supposed to, you know, because that's no, yeah, and that's not advised at all. But just by practicing Pilates, you know, you are increasing the blood, you know, flow to that area, and then you train it like any other muscle. You know, like if we want to work our biceps, we do bicep curls. So you're training there. It's a muscle. It's that hammock of muscles, you know, and also the movement is functional, and also that whole girdle around the hip area, you know, and the glutes. You're keeping that whole area nice and strong, and they all work together.
Yeah, I found that we just lost you there. And so, Tracey, tell us about how Pilates help with the brain health.
So with the brain health, when you're performing an exercise, you really have to focus on the area of the body. So you're bringing in that mind-body connection, and you're really focusing on the movement. You're focusing on the pattern of the movement, the way you want to move, and also the way you want to breathe. So it brings in the brain attention, you know, comes into the body. So improving that brain fitness, I'll call it. And then also remembering the exercises, you know, being able to do them afterwards. You know, it's just so positive. And also you get that confident feeling, because if your posture is improving after doing Pilates, you're going to feel a little bit more confident. And that in itself boosts your brain health and your brain fitness.
I find for me, when I go to Pilates, I get that endorphin rush when I come out. And no matter what mood I go in, if I'm having a menopausal mood when I go in, or rage or anything, that I go in, I come out feeling so good because the endorphins are just really working.
Yeah, just that release of those. I can't even think of the word now.
Don't worry, we're menopause. That's what the brain fog's all about. Don't worry about it. I have it all the time. But again, the exercise and movement helps with the brain fog. Because I remember my brain fog is decreasing now, because I used to be on the radio, and I used to have people in the studio, a panel of people in the studio, and I remember live on air completely forgetting their names, what they came in to talk about, and what the whole topic was, and that would be live on air on radio.
Oh gosh.
So then I had to put stickers all where they couldn't see who they were and what the main reasons. So I had all this thing lined up underneath just in case I would forget. The brain fog for women is what, for me, my menopause was the brain fog, the sleep deprivation. I haven't slept since I was 42 and I'm 55 now. So it was the sleep, the weight gain, and the lymph, the fluid. And because we both know Breeder Birmingham, and I went to Breeder Birmingham's very first menopause midlife women's rock cafes down in Waterford.
Yeah.
The first one. And I said, oh, Breeder, she had a PowerPoint up, and I said, oh my God, Breeder, I have nearly, she had 40 up. I said, I have 35 of those symptoms. I'm going away now going, thank God I'm not going mad, But for me, the fluid, and I said, look at me. I said, my legs are like tree trunks. And she said, Roisin, don't worry. She said, your body will rightify itself. And that was 5 years ago. So it's nearly 5 years ago, I think. And it's taken all those years for my body to come right. But again, something like you said too, I was introduced to Pilates due to a fall, and I still have, I'm sitting here now, my neck's killing me. I have a bulging just in my neck and my back. And so that's how I was introduced to Pilates. So, but Pilates for me too, it really helped with my menopause. And that's why I love what you're talking about and what you do. So, the weight gain, and when you think about it, the weight gain and Pilates is because we got that nice, gentle movement. Because an awful lot of people that I've learned, and correct me if I'm wrong, a lot of people think, oh, you've got to go out and pound the pavements or the fields or the running tracks and doing high intensity workouts. Sometimes for women in the midlife, sometimes it's just nice, gentle movement is what the doctor orders.
Yeah, it's finding the type of exercise, that works and suits you. And also we need to, as we're changing as well and going through menopause, we might need to change the type of exercise that we're doing. There are people out there that are regular exercises, very diligent, that will go for their run 3 and 4 times a week, or their swim or their cycle, whatever form of exercise it is. But there comes a point then where a lot of women find like, oh, last year I was able to do my 20 star jumps in a circuit training class, and now I'm struggling. So it's even looking at the type of class or type of exercise that you're doing, and maybe just changing it around, and being kind to yourself, and not beating yourself up over that. Oh God, I can't do 20 star jumps now. I can only really manage 10 or 12. So we need to look at really slow and kind of steady exercises, and at a pace that we can sustain, so that we're feeling the benefits as well in our health and fitness, and that our fitness levels are still being maintained and improved. So just for somebody that is a regular exerciser, that they might need, if they notice changes, they might need to look at the type of training that they're doing. And then you also have a beginner who wouldn't be a regular exerciser, and they need to start at that base level. And just building it up, and then you'll see the progression Like the American, their guidelines are that we should be doing 150 minutes of exercise per week. And and when you break that down, it's actually not that much. And that we should be doing strength specific training 2 to 3 times a week. So that's working with weights. So we need to make sure that we're adding weights into our exercise or our body resistance into our exercise routine at least 2 days a week anyway. So if you're just running, it's not enough. If you're just cycling, it's not enough. If you're just swimming, it's not enough. You need to bring in your strength work. So that's why Pilates, is so overall, works your strength, your flexibility, your mobility, and also the levels of the exercises can be changed, for that more advanced person, that beginner version. And then different types of classes. Like I add weights to some of my Pilates classes.
Right.
Yes. So I would add light weights.
My arms. Yeah. Like, look at my arms. I mean, if I went to fly, I think my arms would be like wings and I could fly.
And the majority of women, backs of the arms, the triceps, we just don't like them. So it's just covered. So it's just getting that.
What weight should we start off with? So what's your advice of a woman starting the perimenopause and menopause and even post, who's going to introduce weights into their routine? How should they start off with that?
Well, it really depends on the person and what fitness level they're at initially, and if they've ever lifted weights before. For Pilates, the weights would be quite low because the range of movement, and also if the lever is really long, you've got a long lever and your weights at the end, the movements are slow. So I would be at 1 kilogram, 1.5, and then my advanced, some of the exercises might be 2 kilos. So you're talking about, the half kilo to a kilo starting off with if you're going to use them in Pilates, because they need to be relatively light. If you're in a gym, really they say about 60 to 75% of your maximum. So if you can hold 5 kilogram weight and you're able to go, this is so easy, keep going for so many repetitions, you might need a heavier weight. You need to feel as if you're worked as well. So there's no point in having a weight that's really light and you don't feel worked, but there's no point in having a weight that's really heavy that you can only lift once. Okay, so that would be a 1 rep max. So you need to be able to, sustain so if you started even at your 2 kilos, your 3 kilos if you're going into a gym, and then you would build it up, you would find as you're practicing and as you're regularly training, you're going to be able to lift a little bit more. You're talking about 10 to 12 repetitions of a movement, really, if you want to just solely do your strength, your resistance work. With Pilates, it would be the light weights and it would be the number of repetitions that are in the class. So I would be doing maybe 8 repetitions, maybe 10, maybe less, depending on the exercise. And I wouldn't use them for every exercise, so it's just finding what works for you, because you could lift a weight heavier than me if we went into a gym. We're all so different. So it's just starting at a level where you can manage initially that's going to make you work as well. And it's not going to cause an injury. So, by working with someone like me in a class, that it's, it's safe and it's effective. So that's the one thing I find with my clients. They love using weights. My women just love using weights. They love the Pilates with weights. They're like, I need you using weights this week, Tracy. They really, because they get so much out of it.
Really?
Like that, the feely good factor, and then the confidence, and the posture position, and just the power, and the strength that they feel after using weights. And I'm so happy when I see someone progress from maybe a base level of an exercise to the next level, It's just so rewarding. I love it. Yeah.
Well, yeah, because I used to be very active when I was younger and very sporty, into horses, swimming, and everything that was going. And then once when you get married, life goes out the window. And so, but I'm only getting back into everything now. I was always a walker, but when I had the back injury and the neck injury, I couldn't walk. So Pilates has helped me so I'm get back to where I'm starting to walk again. So
Brilliant.
so Pilates is great for everything. So for women, Pilates it's a godsend when you're thinking a lifesaver for many women.
Oh gosh, it is, yeah. And even if you've ever experienced an injury and you've gone to a physio, all the exercises that you would be given as part of your rehabilitation program are all Pilates exercises. So a lot of physios would be using the Pilates method, all over the world, and a lot of physios would be trained in Pilates as well. But you would recognize a lot of the exercises because of its slow and controlled and building up that strength. So like you with your injury, and that's how I recovered as well through Pilates. It's so beneficial, and it works every area of the body, as a whole package. So it's nearly like a health system, for the body, like an exercise health system.
Yeah, I love it. I must say I love Pilates. And recently I started because I have plantar fasciitis on both my feet. And so my son gave me his exercise bike. So I went on, I said, God, I haven't ridden the bike in years. And so I can only do 2 minutes. And I went, oh my God, how am I ever going to do this? So I started off, Tracy, with 2 minutes a day. Then I built it up to 5 minutes a day, then 10, then 12, and then 15 and 20. Now I can do an hour. However, I'm doing it at my own pace. I'm not doing fast, or I'm just doing a nice even pace where I can get there really happy and go, I can do that hour regularly instead of killing myself and overdoing it.
Yeah. But once you're working a little bit, Roisin, that it isn't just oh God, this is a doddle, that you're breaking into a little bit of a sweat, because you need to challenge your body as well, because we can get into our little comfort zone. So it's challenging the body as well, and making that you feel as if you've worked, because that's how we progress, and that's how we improve our heart health, improve our heart and lungs. That's how we improve our strength, we improve our bone health. Because we're progressing and we're challenging ourselves as well, not to the extent of injury, but to an extent that your body feels it, and you're feeling the benefits, and you're also seeing the benefits. When you start exercising, your body will change. No matter what exercise it is, your body's going to change, and it'll change for the good, for the positive. Postural alignment, body shape will change, your energy levels will change, and also functional movement. Like in my Pilates classes, I would bring in a few exercises that aren't solely Pilates, but they're functional exercises, like the squat, for example. Not everyone can squat correctly, so it's just really teaching it and getting the most out of the movement every day. So it's so functional, and I always incorporate.
I think we lost you there for a moment.
Into my classes, I would always start my classes in. Frozen again.
Yeah.
Now you're back.
Yep. You're back. You're frozen.
Is that okay? Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now. We lost you about we lost
the
you
squat.
at the squat. A lot of people can't do squats properly.
Yeah, so I will always incorporate it into my classes because of the functionality of it. And I a lot of the times I will teach the start of my class in standing, because we're standing a lot of the time during the day. So I bring in my Pilates movements in standing, and then I would go to the mat. So we're practicing functional movement in upright positions, and also on the floor as well, which is important.
Yeah. Tracy, you're going to show us some exercises. So I'm going to put you on full screen now so you can talk us through what you're going. Great. So I'm going to put you on speaker mode. There. So Tracy, you're going to talk us through these exercises. So which one are you going to start off with?
So I'm going to do about 3 to 4 exercises in standing first, and then we'll go to the mat. Right. So I'm going to do a little bit of a posture check. I'll just move back a bit so that you can see my feet as well. Can you see my feet?
I can indeed.
Yeah, good. So it's really initially just kind of getting your position, you know, and getting that mind-body connection and feeling where you're at with your posture and with your own body alignment. So bringing your feet about hip-width apart and just being aware of your foot position, spreading out the toes on the floor, because we hold a lot of tension in our feet. And just feeling your body weight even into both legs and into both feet, because we might lean a little bit more into the left or we might lean a little bit more into the right. So it's trying to find where you're nice and level. And then from your pelvis, just growing nice and tall through your spine. So really lengthening your spine so that you're growing to the ceiling. You know, because a lot of us are slightly forward. So just getting that open of the chest as well and the shoulders down. Because a lot of us feel uncomfortable with this open position. So it's just getting used to it and really growing as tall as you can to the ceiling. And also relaxing your face and your jaw, because we hold a lot of tension in our jaw, and there's a direct connection between jaw and pelvic floor. So releasing your jaw, getting rid of any tension there, and standing nice and tall. So I'm just going to start off with a bit of reciprocal movement. So with our opposites. So bringing your opposite arm, opposite leg up. So we're going to go with the right arm and the left leg. So I'm bringing my right arm in line with my shoulder and my left leg up in line with my hip. And sometimes people don't get this straight away because it's an opposite movement and across the body as well, where you'll see people want to go with the same side. I'm just going to do 2 more here and then I'm going to switch sides. So this is really good for our balance. I'm going to switch sides now. So I'm going with my left arm and my right leg. And we're, as you can see, with one leg up, one leg down, focusing on balance, focusing on coordination, focusing on breathing, and then getting that brain fitness because I'm going with the reciprocal movement, working the opposite. So I'll just go with 1 more. So that's just a simple movement, but a lot of people can find that tricky. And then with the balance as well. I also bring that out to the side. So you're working then laterally. So you're bringing that arm out to the side and you bring the leg out to the side, and we're still with our opposites. We're still focusing on our balance and we're focusing on our posture. And we really have to connect pelvic floor and the abdominals here, keeping us nice and controlled so that we're not floppy. And then changing sides. So these would be relatively kind of basic moves. And then to make something like this harder, you know, I would increase the number of repetitions. I might add a weight into the hand. You know, I can count down the repetitions, mix them up so that you're alternating from left to right. You know, so I would just change it around. Another exercise would be rotation. So spinal rotation is very important. You know, that we can actually turn and twist. So I, you know, focus on bringing both arms up. We keep one arm in front, and then we're going to rotate and we're going to open to the other side while we keep the front arm still and we follow. So I'm going to the left, we follow the left hand and we come back to the center. We can bring the arms down and then we go up again. So you really have to concentrate here on the moves. Now I'm going to open to the right. So I'm rotating through the spine. I'm following that right hand. I'm breathing in here and then I exhale, come back to the start. I'll do 1 more each side. So I'm going to breathe in on my lips. So I'm focusing on my breath, getting my control. I'm exhaling. I'm using the power of my exhale. I'm drawing my abdominals in. I'm getting that nice rotation through my spine. Breathing in here and then exhale, come back to center. And I'm keeping my shoulders down from my ears last time. Good. I'm going to breathe in on the lift. And then I'm going to exhale, rotate. And my feet are nice and flat. I'm still spreading out my toes. Breathing in and then coming back to the start position and returning down again. So you're getting that movement through the spine. You're getting the brain connected to the body, you're getting your breath connected to the movement. So I would cue all these in. When I'm teaching Pilates, Roisin, I never stop talking. I'm like, shoulders down, breathe. I'm like, boom, 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 boom. There's never a time that I'm silent. So there's always a cue, you know, so that people don't forget, because you can forget about your feet when you're doing an exercise like this. And then the other functional exercise would be the squat. Okay, so starting with that nice shoulder width apart base, you've got a really good base. Our feet are forward. And what I say to people is, imagine there's a chair behind you and you're going to sit into it. If somebody really struggles with the exercise, I'll get them to use a chair. So they would go into actually physically sit down and get up again. That's what I would use the chair as a prop when somebody's struggling with it. Yeah. Well, you have wheels on your chair, Roisin. Do you have wheels on it? No. As soon as you go to sit down, your chair will fly away from you.
It's against another chair, so I'll be fine. It's stable.
Okay, so feet, I have to factor in the safety element.
Yeah.
So feet nice and wide, and you're going to go nice and tall. And I want you to focus on sitting back into a chair, and you're going to bring your arms in front of you as you do so. So you're going to flex at your hips, sit back into the chair, raise your arms. So stick your bum out behind you and sit down. That's it. So if you go into the chair, go into it, and then you're going to push up out of the chair through your feet. Come back up to standing, and your arms can come down then. So you're going to breathe in, flex at your hips, drop your hips, so drop the bum behind you, sit down into a chair, and then you're going to push up out of it through your feet. So we're focusing on the quads and the glutes here. So sit down again. You're going to keep your chest lifted, and you're going to keep your chin lifted, and your abdominals in. And you're going to come up, 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 up. So as you can see, my spine stays nice and long. I'm just flexing at the hips to sit down, and then I'm coming up. We'll do one more. Knees always track with your toes. So your knees stay in the same direction as your toes, whether your feet are turned out. If I change the squat, my knees will still go out with my toes, or forward. Because I know you'll see a lot of people trying to do squat and they're going like this.
Yeah.
We're going forward, whereas we want to sit down and push up. So functional.
Do you know, Tracy,
yeah. So they would be some of the ones I would do in standing.
I would never been able to do that before. I would never been able to do that before, except if you told me how to do that. I used to think I'd never be able to do squats, but the chair, but I won't use a chair with wheels. I use a chair with a stable. But you've showed me a way that I can start to do squats.
Yeah, practicing you actually using that physical chair is so beneficial. And even doing like 10 repetitions in and out of the chair, and then eventually you won't need the chair at all.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with using the chair, because it actually makes you focus on the exercise a little bit more, because you have to sit down, but you also have to get yourself off the chair. So it makes you really focus on the exercise and the movement.
Yes.
So I'll go to the mat, and I'm going to go on my back. So the same thing applies in relation to your posture. So I call it my setup, right? Because there's no point in going into a movement if I'm all floppy and I'm not in a good position, because I'm only going to cause injury. So you make sure your feet are flat on the floor, your toes are spread out, and they're about hip width apart. Your knees are about hip width apart. And how I get people to check that is about a fist width between the knees, because our hips aren't as wide as we think. And then the pelvis, nice and level. So we've got a nice level pelvis. We just draw the abdominals in. So just draw the belly button in slightly. So you've got a bit of connection with the abdominals. You're nice and tall on the floor, and you're growing out through the top of the head to the wall behind you. So you're getting that lengthening and tall feeling, even though you're lying down. Arms are long. So with the pelvic floor and the pelvic mobility, we're literally going to pick up pelvic floor muscles, so get that elevator lift sensation, and then tilt the pelvis back. This is a really small exercise, so tilting the pelvis back towards the floor, and then just release it, go back to where you started. We're exhaling, we're tilting back to get that mobility in the pelvis, and then we're going forward to where we start. We're going to keep our abdominals in, especially as we go forward, because we don't want to push. We want to keep the movement. So if you think of your pelvis like a bowl, We want to tilt back, and then we want to go forward to where we started. So quite a small exercise, but really, really important for that pelvic mobility, that blood flow to the pelvis, and getting that pelvic floor connection. So getting the brain training into that muscle movement. Then I would progress, moving on, that we could lift our heels, lift the toes, lift the heels, lift the toes. So we're focusing on the foot, the ankle, the calf muscles, and really going through those intrinsic muscles and joints of the feet. And then we can come up into a tabletop position where our knees over our hip. So you might have heard the term tabletop before.
Yes.
So for a beginner, this would be half tabletop. So I would have a beginner up with one leg up, one leg down. If it's a more advanced person, they could have two legs up into full tabletop. And we can all do the same exercise in the class. So we could do a toe tap, where you're tapping the toes towards the floor and you're bringing them back to your tabletop. So you're focusing on your breath, you're focusing on the movement, you're focusing on your pelvic alignment, you're focusing on the abdominals. And if it was full tabletop, it's the same movement, except the other leg is up. So everyone can do it at the same time. And then I would change legs, go to the other leg. Another classic exercise would be your shoulder bridge, where we're lifting our hips off the ground, and it really promotes movement through the posterior chain of the body. So like your hamstrings, your glutes, and of course the back. So we would take a nice breath in, and then as we breathe out, because we're using our exhale for our effort, we're going to pick up pelvic floor, we're going to push through the feet, we're going to trigger our hamstrings and our glutes, and we're going to slowly lift up the hips off the ground towards the ceiling. We're keeping our abdominals in, and we're going up to our shoulder blades, and our face is nice and relaxed. And then we would come back down again. So we would breathe in to begin, we would exhale up, and then I would be monitoring the classroom, making sure people's knees are going forward, they're in a good position. You can progress this then. So when we go up into shoulder bridge, you could add arms with weights or without. We can add those heel raises that we did earlier when our body was on the mat. So we're bringing in other elements, so where the hamstrings are working a little bit harder. So as you can see, all the moves can be adapted and modified. And then we'll come back down. So we would do a number of repetitions of that. So I would do a series of exercises, standing on the back, on the side, on the front, on all fours. So you're bringing in a range of movements, so you're not just on your back all the time, because we need to, work the sides of the body, the back of the body, and then our muscles work in pairs. And also, so you're bringing in that balance into the class. And I end with a nice breath. So people can stay on the mat, they can sit up, or they can stand. And I would do that posture focus again, like we did at the beginning. And then I would have everyone take a nice breath in. Do it with me, Roisin.
I will.
Slide your seat back. Arms by your side.
Stand up.
Bring them down. Yeah, and just take a nice breath in as you bring the arms up. And then you're going to exhale. You're just going to open them out gently as you breathe out, and just squeeze the shoulder blades and then bring the arms down. We'll do 2 more. Breathe in, bring your arms up for me. That's it. Breathe energy in. Exhale, grow a little bit taller. Just open the arms, gently squeeze the shoulder blades and bring the arms down. We've got 1 more. Nice big smile for me. Breathe in, bring the arms up. And we're going to exhale, open. That's it. Just gently squeeze the shoulder blades, keep the tummy in, bring those arms down, and then a nice little shake out. Do you feel a lot more open
I do. Already? Yeah, I love that.
They're just a few little exercises out of a number of exercises. Just a little bit of a taster of just some of the moves, that people can do. And there's 2 kind of sayings that Joseph Pilates, he's got a lot of quotes. There's a lot of quotes out there from him, which is that physical fitness is the first requisite of happiness. would be one of them that I really like, and it's on my website as well. And that Pilates is a coordination of body, mind, and spirit.
I
So
love
there
that.
would be my two of my favorites. Yeah.
I always think I call Pilates my happy pill moment. You're frozen there, and then
yes, I'm back again. Sorry.
Yeah, you're back.
I get so much out of Pilates. I get so much out of it as well as being an instructor, but personally, because I'm perimenopausal myself, and I know what a lot of women are experiencing. I also have 4 kids, and I'm also in the sandwich generation, so I know what it's like when you're trying to juggle your family, and then also you might have to look after your parents. You know, there's so many different elements that we're trying to juggle, and we're also trying to look after ourselves. Like a lot of the time, our own self-care is at the bottom. Whereas if you can try and get into the habit of allocating a small bit of time on your daily routine for you. Like yesterday morning, for example, I was awake really early. Everyone was asleep in the house. It was a beautiful morning. I decided, right, I'm just going to get up and get out. I got up, got dressed, went off for my walk. Beautiful morning. Now this is about 7 o'clock in the morning, but I was awake. I would have ended up doing laundry and something else, but I said, no, I'm going to go out. Went for my walk, came back. Sure, everyone was still asleep. And I had my exercise, that walk part of my routine done. So if you can just even start with that, but trying to make the time for you, even treating it as an appointment.
Yeah. That's important.
You know, whether you need to book into a class. Yeah, they might need to book into a class to feel accountable, which is great. So you're going to turn up, and you're going to turn up. You're not turning up for the instructor. You are turning up for you.
Yes.
So that's the thing, to try and turn things around so that you're focusing on yourself and turning up for you. If you decide,
we keep losing you,
I'm going to go for my walk.
We keep losing you. So it's about making that appointment and showing up for you.
Yeah, and just showing up for you and making the time. So if you say to yourself, I'm going to go for my walk this evening or tomorrow, and go and do it, whether it's 5 minutes, whether it's 15 minutes, whether it's half an hour. Once you've made that step to actually do for you, the next day will be easier and easier, and then you'll bring it into your daily routine, and you'll start to improve. You'll feel better. You might try different types of exercise then, so the ball will start rolling for you, and then your family members will realize, oh, mum or my sister has to go for her walk, or Tracy's going for her walk today, she just said she's going in about half an hour. So then everyone knows. Or if you've signed up to a class, that if it's on a Monday evening or Monday morning, that everyone knows what time it is, and mum is to go to her class at that time, and then things will start to become a little bit easier. Yeah, and having
it's
that
about making it a
accountability.
habit, isn't it? It's about making your exercise become a habit, a daily habit, and a daily ritual, just like brushing your teeth.
Yes, yeah, and that's how you change. You make those lifestyle changes by making it into a habit. And a lot of people think that they need to do an hour and a half or an hour of a real intense workout. Just get started. If it's that 5 or 10 minutes, if it's 15 minutes, if it's 15 minutes in the morning, 15 minutes in the afternoon, just once you start, then it'll start to happen for you.
Yeah.
And enjoying it.
And that's what's really important too, isn't it? Enjoying it.
Even if you get a friend to exercise, you have to enjoy it. So finding something that you enjoy, and if it's great to go walking with a friend. Not everyone can go at the same time.
Yeah.
But even meeting someone afterwards, that social element, finding out, are there any classes in your area, or is there a walking group in your area, and getting involved, and things like that will really help any woman going through the menopause. And you'll just feel, and then you'll meet other women that are similar to yourself, and then that's then how we support each other, and we can give little tips, or we bounce off each other, and then things seem to look a little bit brighter.
The world is a much better place.
Yeah. And like, if anyone wants to reach out and message me, if they have any questions on anything that we've talked about today, by all means, message me.
How can people reach you, Tracy?
Well, I'm on Instagram and I'm on Facebook. I know not everybody's on social media, but I would be Tracy at the Studio. They would be both my handle names for both those platforms. And I also have my website, which is tracyatthestudio.ie. They can email me at hello@tracyatthestudio.ie. My other contact details will be on Facebook and my phone number. And if someone wanted to message me, or even just look up Tracy Pilates Ballina Tipperary, I will pop up in a Google search as well. And just if anyone has even a question, just to ask. And I know, like, if I'm in Ballina, County Tipperary, somebody might think, oh, you're too far away from me. I'm also online. I have my classes online as well. That's a positive from COVID,
yes.
Online, and it suits so many people. And I teach live classes as well. And I also, have some recorded stuff up on Instagram. So yeah, just have a look and a follow and give me a message, give me a shout out. If for any information on exercise, health, fitness, Pilates in relation to the menopause.
And Tracy, you also tell us about this briefly, because I'm going to get you on again to talk about this, is you also do Pilates and exercise for even older people as well.
Yeah, I would have a few older adult groups. I would have a number of older adults in my Pilates classes. And also I do a specific strength and conditioning class for older adults. And by older adults, now the ages would range and also abilities would range, but predominantly maybe 55 plus right up to 80s would be in my classes for older adults. So my strength and conditioning class, we would do like a circuit. So it's different to Pilates. We're not on the floor, we're in standing. We move around the room. I have a series of exercises that we do using weights, using resistance band, using maybe other types of props. And each exercise would be timed. So it's got a kind of a circuit basis, but the benefits are phenomenal, especially even if there's no kind of too late to start exercising. So if you haven't exercised and you're worried about, it's a bit late now to start, it's never too late to start. Never. And the benefits are just unbelievable. Like, one of the ladies in the class there before we finished for the summer holidays was 79, had a recent DEXA scan, and her bone density had improved by 4%.
Wow.
You think, oh God, 4%, it's not. It's actually huge and significantly in her spine, which is one of the areas, that would become quite at risk, for the loss in bone density. So like, that's just absolutely fantastic. And it's in connection to the classes that she's doing using the strength work, but also bringing in habits that she's learned into her daily routine and bringing more exercise into her week. So she said she will never miss a class. I'm never, ever, ever going to miss a class, because I know the benefits, and she's feeling it. Because if you would think of it 4% the other way,
yes,
you would just be, oh my God, 4% decrease. You would be, you would be actually scared, whereas this is an improvement. So it just goes to show you, that it is achievable. It is very achievable once you're doing the right type of exercise. And also with Pilates, my older clients that would do Pilates with me, they're able to get down onto the floor, they're able to get up off the floor, whereas a lot of people kind of shy away from movements like that because they're afraid, well, if I get down on the floor, I won't be able to get back up.
That's what I say every time.
Whereas you need to be able to get back up the floor. For example, but if you fall or lose your balance, you need to be able to get yourself, back up, in stages, or whether you can, you need to be able to achieve that. So it's really important. And the group of ladies that are, that I've been working with, they never miss a class, and they swear by it. And one of my other recent clients, she would be, early 80s. She would have had a stroke recently, and the physio knew straight away that she had done Pilates because the physio said it to her.
Wow.
Yeah. So, and that's amazing. Yeah, that's amazing. So just go to show you the power of movement, exercise, Pilates, and strength.
All has an impact on the overall health of the body.
Yeah, and especially during midlife and perimenopause and menopause, because with that loss of estrogen in the body, our brains are affected, our heart health affected, our bone health is affected. So we need to work on those areas, with the rest of our lifestyle, to help improve and maintain our movement and our strength. And to kind of help balance any of the symptoms that we have, going through this stage of our lives, and then continue to carry on, not stopping, just keep going with your side as we move on into life as well. It's just so I can't say how important it is often enough, and and I'm so passionate about it.
Do.
So passionate about it.
Yeah, you just love what you do.
It's not a job to me.
Yeah.
yeah, and I love and just helping, and just seeing women transition, being maybe, lack of confidence, maybe not able to, not being aware of their own body movement, and also maybe struggling with weight, and how it can change and turn around. Yeah, and that's really important. Really, really important.
I remember my children, I'll finish off on this. I started to put on weight with my perimenopause. I was always skinny. No matter what I ate, I didn't bother me. Then all of a sudden at 42, I just put on the weight. And my daughter, I used to say, why are you so fat? You don't eat enough to be fat. And you eat the right food. And then my two children put me on the small fork diet. And I still got fatter and fatter. So, but it's just funny how the weight gain, just no matter what happens. Sometimes for menopausal women, the weight gain is just there, no matter what you do. The hormone.
And it can just be so traumatic and just depressing for a lot of women.
Very
so
depressing.
It's even, really honestly looking at what you eat on a daily basis. Even if it's just, if you've taken a biscuit out of the press, or, not even logging stuff down, even if you try it for a week, writing down every single thing, no matter how small it is. So if you've taken one biscuit, write it down. So then when you look and you can see, okay, this is what I've had in my day, and you might even realize what you've had.
Yeah.
And also, if we're taking in more more fatty foods or high calorific foods than we're using, so if we're not exercising enough and we're taking in this extra food or more calories, and not using that energy, we're going to put on weight. And also, if you've got someone who's well, no, I'm quite really good at my diet, I'm really good, and I'm still putting on the weight, but they really, really need to look at what they're eating, and the quantities of what they're eating, the size of the portions, and then the type of exercise that they're doing and how often you're doing it, because it all works together. And also, if you're on medication, medication can fluctuate our weight as well. So there's loads of different factors, but it's trying not to beat yourself up about it, and maybe taking action and really looking at what you're eating. I've even noticed myself that things are starting to change, and I would exercise quite regularly, but I will go for too long without eating because I'm so busy, and that's where my problem is, and that will affect my fluctuation of weight, because I don't do it on purpose, but this kind of starvation doesn't work either. we need to eat regularly. We need to make sure we're getting more protein in our diet, especially during midlife. We need a little bit more protein. So to make sure that we're getting protein in on a daily basis, that we're getting, and also getting our calcium in, and we're getting our hydration. Water and keeping hydrated is so important as well, because it will also flush out, any toxins in the body. So really looking at what we're eating and what exercise we're doing, will make a difference. It all, definitely, Roisin. It all does add up. It all does add up, and and we can make that positive change. We can, and yes, it's hard. It is very, very difficult. Like someone watching this might say, "Oh, sure, it's very easy for you to say, Tracy. You love exercise," but it is. I understand how difficult it can be for people to get out there and get exercise, and also to look at their diet and change their diet. Like, I'm no saint. I love chocolate. I love biscuits. I'd be the first one to put my hand up and say, "Oh yeah, I'll have a bit of chocolate, please, thank you." But you have to have that balance, and you can't deprive yourself of stuff either. But it's just being mindful of what you're eating, and maybe closing your kitchen to you at, say, 7 o'clock in the evening. And say, "Okay, my kitchen is closed." And just trying it, and see. 7 o'clock might seem a little bit early to some people.
Find a distraction.
But
find a distraction. Find a distraction. What I have to do.
But it all works. It all works together. Like your diet, your exercise, your lifestyle habits, and it all as a package together, will help improve, your health and well-being through your menopause journey, definitely.
And as your t-shirt says, our menopause matters.
Yeah, menopause matters. So even I have conversation. So starting the conversation, we're having a lovely conversation, awareness. So you're bringing up that awareness within your friend group, your family, knowledge. So empowering yourself with knowledge. So finding out things about menopause, perimenopause that you don't know about, maybe looking it up, invest in things. Your education. So educating yourself on the different options that are out there. Your acceptance, which can be quite difficult sometimes, accepting who you are and where you are. Because that was one thing with me. I was a little bit in denial because I thought I was invincible, because I'm a fitness instructor. I'm not going to have any of these symptoms. I'm going to be fine. Whereas now I've accepted, okay, here I am. I need to look after me as well as my clients. So acceptance is big for a lot of women. Self-care. And the last one I have then is happiness.
Happiness. So, we all need a bit of happiness.
Yeah.
And let's
need to be happy.
Spread the happiness.
Yeah. So we need to be happy and find something that we're happy doing. Like recently I've gone back to swimming. I grew up at the sea. And then after my second daughter, I just lost the love for the water, and I just kind of fell out of it. And in the last 12 months, I've got back into it, and it's really a switch off for me. I don't do it to be competitive. I don't do it for fitness. I do it just to get the switch off and time out for me. I love being out in nature, and just swimming and just being in the water. And I don't swim very long, but just to be sure. And that's my self-care for me at the moment. Whereas for someone else, it could be going on a cycle. It could just be sitting and breathing and taking it all in. So just finding something that can, that's going to make you happy and lift you. Yeah, it's really important.
Or going to Pilates.
Can't stress that enough. Happiness. Yes, or going to Pilates. Yeah, no.
Well, Tracy, it's been an absolute pleasure talking to you, and you're going to come on again maybe in a panel discussion with Ballina Birmingham, and we'll talk more about menopause and continue on the conversation of menopause matters.
I would love to, Roisin, and thank you so much. And thank you to everyone who tuned in. I hope you enjoyed it. I know I did anyway, so thanks, Roisin.
And what I'll do, Tracy, is I will put all your links to all your website and your social medias in the description below.
Thanks so much, Roisin. Thank you.
Thank
you.
you.
It's been a pleasure.
An absolute pleasure.